But anyway, thank you all for returning and coming back to the show and things. Let's get into our next topic, which is this is the LGBT or LGBT related aspect of the show, where we're just going to be talking about a whole bunch of good tea and things. So let's talk about Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. One of my friends is currently at the Janet concert. I was telling you this earlier in the show. I'm Facebook Live, by the way. I was like, let me just do this segment of the show because I wasn't really checking for them other stories throughout the other part of the show. So, but I gave y'all my energy and things. But anyway, I say all this to say is like, okay, so Janet basically made more money than Taylor Swift in 2018. So Janet generated $10.9 million from touring alone this year, making her one of the highest earning acts in the world and securing her a spot on Billboard's highest paid musicians list. I believe we talked about this last week, but I really didn't break it down with the women part of who was making what. Below her was Taylor Swift, who made $9.3 million. Taylor's Epic Reputation World Tour kicked off in May, meaning Billboard was able to include the earnings when compiling the list. The good news is she made the list thanks to her astronomically high music sales. Sales which were elevated by the $2.4 million she's earned from streaming, the $5 million she's bagged via pure units, and the $2 million she sees from publishing. So yes, while Janet hasn't put out any new music, she is definitely still making that coin. And I don't understand why people think you got to put out new music in order to be a success. Janet is working on a new album, and she looks flawless, and she looks fabulous, and I'm looking forward to hearing it. Even though people like Wendy Wendell, Orenthal Bartholomew, Rufus Clyde, Shaniqua, Trevor Donovan, Blockito Williams has a problem with Janet or Madonna or anybody who's a legend making new music, even though this bitch don't buy a fucking album to begin with. For her to come out and say like, oh, Janet just needs to stick to the hits and she don't make, who are you to tell somebody when not to make music? You've been doing a TV show for 10 years. Maybe you should fucking retire, bitch, and let somebody new come in. So if she don't like it, then let her do whatever. But let Janet come out and do what she needs to do. In this day and age, she definitely has enough wherewithal to come out with some new music. And so I'm looking forward to hearing what Janet's got coming out with. And like I said, she's in New York today, about to perform and all other stuff later on tonight. A friend of mine is going to go see her at Randall's Island. Yes, I am jealous that she's going, but ain't nobody got time to be paying no $1,000 for no damn VIP. You can run tell that. I'd rather just watch you front row in my damn house when you release the DVD version of your tour. But anyway, so Beyonce, to get to her, is rumored to be on the cover of the Vogue September issue, which is like the issue to always be on if you're in fashion. The singer was on the cover of the vaunted September issue in 2015 and has been on the cover of other Vogue issues in 2009 and 2013. In 2015, Mario Testino photographed Beyonce, but Vogue did not interview the icon, who has increasingly controlled her image. Well, that's always the case. Like, Beyonce don't talk to no damn body. Beyonce likes to control the narrative, and I think it's because Oprah told her that shit, so since then, she's been doing it. But they're also saying that this is rumored, the September issue is rumored to be Anna Wintour's last as part of Vogue. This month, WWD reported numerous industry sources have insisted in recent weeks that Wintour is indeed set to leave her 30-year post as editor-in-chief of American Vogue, with the reveal of a soft exit thought to be coming after the all-important September issue. Condé Nast has vehemently denied rumors. Well, we'll see if this is true when the issue comes out, and if she'll say basically if this is true or not. If we'll find out if it's true from Condé Nast, from Anna Wintour when she makes a little thing. Okay, so now Cher has revealed the track listing for her ABBA covers album. Yes, she is recording one. You know, she is in the new movie Mamma Mia too, a movie I don't understand how that even got a sequel. But whatever, and it's probably not going to be, I don't think it's going to be number one. I think Mission Impossible 1 is going to Mission Impossible 6, MI6, we should call it, because, you know, that's the British term for Central Intelligence. But Mission Impossible 6 is going to probably most likely be the number one movie in America this weekend, followed by, I don't think Mamma Mia is going to be number 2, but we shall see. It's just too many movies coming out. But anyway, And movies is expensive because I heard that what's that damn thing? MoviePass is going through some shit right now. I heard the tea about y'all. But anyway, so she revealed the track listing. She says number 1 is Waterloo, then Gimme Gimme, then Dancing, then Chiquita, Name of the Game, Mamma Mia, One of Us, Winner Takes All, SOS, and now she's trying to figure what she should put at the number 10 spot. I was thinking, why don't she just go in the studio and record an ABBA-inspired track, like a one new track that kind of has like that ABBA vibe or that ABBA feel to it with the music, and just it be an original song that's inspired by ABBA, but it's not an ABBA song. You could do that, or just figure out what other song you're gonna do. I don't know, because I like a lot of the ABBA songs. And it's my volume 2. They did have a lot of hits. So yeah, it's supposed to come out in September. And did she not put... Oh yeah, she did put Gimme Gimme, which, you know, Madonna sampled for Hung Up. I'm looking forward to hearing it. I like Cher. Yeah, that's the gay in me. I like Cher. I like her songs and all that good stuff. But anyway, okay, so let's move on. So Lauryn Hill's canceled and postponed several Miseducation tour dates. I don't know why the hell she's postponing or whatever the case is, when in fact that Lauren ain't worked in a month of Sundays. So I don't understand how this bitch constantly be doing more postponements than actual performances, and she's able to get away with this. And when she does show up for concerts, she's always late. And I know a lot of people get pissed off about that too. But according to the Virginian Pilot, Hill canceled... See, we get our sources from everywhere. Hill canceled her performance on August 16th in Virginia Beach, as well as North Carolina concerts in Charlotte and Raleigh and St. Petersburg, Florida, scheduled for the week. A Miami show, which is originally planned for July 31st, is also postponed until October 15th. I don't know what's going on with her. Bitch, get your mental orders in order. I don't know what's going on with Lauren. You know what? I love Lauryn Hill. I like her music. I like what she's brought us as far as the music goes. But, Lauren, darling, you're just not happening with... What is going on with you? Like, I'd rather just remember you in memory. And I would never spend money to see her live, because I just know it'd just be a world of disappointment. So a statement from Live Nation cited unforeseen production issues as the reason for the cancellations. Production issues? All she needs is a goddamn band of backup singers and her standing in front of a goddamn microphone. It ain't like she's Madonna. Like, she's not doing gymnastics and you know, having trapeze acts on stage. That's not a Lauryn Hill concert. Lauryn Hill is a lot like Erykah Badu in that whole situation where y'all just get a full band together, you stand on stage, and you actually just sing in synchronicity. Sing in harmony. All together now. But anyway, I said Hill's a long history, which is getting longer by the day, of showing up late to her shows or canceling them altogether. Fans of the Toronto concert were left waiting for nearly an hour for Hill to show up. When she finally did turn up, she only performed a 45-minute set. So if you buy Lauryn Hill tickets in 2018 with even the most basic expectations, I will say, you know what? It's on you. You can't get mad at Lauryn Hill for her behavior, because this is something she does a lot of. She is notorious for not showing up to her concerts or showing up extremely late and then cutting her concerts short and not giving people their money's worth. And then expecting to just go home with a check like, oh yeah, I did my job. No, bitch. See, now, if you could stick around longer trying to throw your legs open for one of Bob Marley's children to have his fucking kids, then you could stay a little long enough to, just so you could have that name as part of your whole situation, that you could stick your black ass around long enough to give me a full-on 2-hour show of all them songs from that one good album you fucking put out. So I don't understand Lauryn Hill doing all this other shit and people allowing this bitch to get away with the shit she gets away with. So if y'all want to go out and spend money on this tired old heifer for giving a half-ass show, then that's on you. You don't get to get a refund. You knew what the fuck y'all was getting in bed with when you got in bed with the bitch. So, Lauren, you get no sympathy from me. I know everybody's like, she's a legend. No, bitch. Legends leave legendary shit in their wake. She's only had one album that she's released, and that's the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. We're not counting the Unplugged album that she came out with, or that time where she shaved her head and was looking like Miss Seeley while strumming a goddamn guitar trying to be India Ari. We're not gonna sit and think of that era. That shit don't count. We're talking about a full-on, well-put-together record, and that record was the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. We don't count the bullshit that came after that, because she only came out with an Unplugged album and that shit I just mentioned And that was just a bunch of nothing. So whatever. Lauren, don't get no damn sympathy from me. I don't care who it is. Now, if you're going to be a legend in something, you don't get to just stay legends in name only. You got to continue to bring that shit every time in order to hold that title. And no, you don't deserve it. Just because you put out one good album don't mean you get a slide. You don't. So, last week I had told you guys about a Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot. And a lot of people, I believe, were upset about it. I was kind of upset about it too, but then I was like, you know what? I won't be upset about it for this reason, because they're trying to bring something new and different and fresh to the table. One of the things where they're saying that Buffy's going to be a black girl now. And Monica Owusu-Breen, I remember her name. She's like a well-known executive, like producer in television. The last thing I believe she produced is that show called Midnight Texas that comes on NBC. It came out last summer, but I believe it's coming, like they postponed it to like later in the fall. They have like a gay angel or something on there. It's done by Charlene Harris, who did True Blood, that sort of thing, so they made a show about it. I didn't particularly care for Midnight Texas. I felt like it was just like a watered-down version, a network watered-down version of True Blood. But anyway, so according to a note from the showrunner, they said that well, the backlash is saying came swift and loud, with many fans calling for a completely new story instead of rehashing the same story for the 90s, which I actually thought they were going to do. I know y'all weren't going to reboot and be like, oh, we're just going to put you in Sunnydale, but the only difference is the girl's going to be black instead of white. Like, I know y'all wasn't going to rehash it. We was going to have Xander, Willow, Oz, Angel, all those characters coming back to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but Angel's Latino, Willow's, I was going to say a lesbian. She already was a lesbian on the show. But then you have Willow being trans and non-binary, or whatever the case is. So my thing would be like, I don't want those same characters. I feel like my idea for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I'll read what she says in a minute, but my idea for Buffy the Vampire Slayer was like, yeah, I'm all for Buffy, but a Buffy sequel, whatever the case you want to call it, and make her Buffy. Or maybe you have the show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it's a new name, but the girl's character is different. But I was like, how about we make Sunnydale like the Bronx or some shit? And you have Buffy moving with her mother into the hood, and the hood has all those things that we saw in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I mean, like, she goes to an urban school, there's kids in there who are like wolves and vampires and all that sort of thing. We have vampires in the school. So we have it in an urban setting, and we kind of have all those fears and things that we have that plagues our communities being reflected on television. Kind of like in the same vein as like, what the hell was that damn show? Like Pose, where it was like we get to see an idea of like what that world was like, but we have it metaphorically like, with the supernatural stuff, but in an urban setting. We haven't really seen a show where it's like vampires and slayers and that sort of thing in an urban type of New York type setting. We haven't really seen that, I don't think. I mean, the closest we had was Blade, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, so she was like, for some genre writers, it's Star Wars. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is my Star Wars. Before I became a writer, I was a fan. For 7 seasons, I watched Buffy Summers grow up, find love, kill that love. I watched her fight and struggle and slay. There was only one Buffy, one Xander, one Willow, one Giles, one Cordelia, Oz, Tara, Kendra, Faith, Spike, Angel. They can't be replaced. Joss Whedon's brilliant and beautiful series can't be replicated. I wouldn't try to. But here we are 20 years later, and the world seems a lot scarier, so maybe it could be time to meet a new Slayer. That's all, and that's all I can say. So, I'm all for it being, change the name. Call it, well, since it's going to be a black girl, I don't want to be stereotypical. I'm not going to say Shaniqua the Vampire Slayer. Like, we'll do, you just come up with a interesting character, whatever her name's going to be, like make her, Joanne the Vampire Slayer, whatever the case is, you call it that, and be like, this is in that same universe. Because remember, at the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, her essence was spread out where any person could be chosen. It wasn't there can only be one Slayer. One person dies and another person steps up. So it's at the end, it was like her essence was spread out, and there were many Slayers that were awakened up and all that other stuff. So I'm all for that. Like, let's pick a new Vampire Slayer show with a new character, a new name. I don't know what you're going to name her, but nothing stereotypical. I don't want to hear Bon Qui Qui or Shaniqua or Shabakalaka or one of them damn names. Like, give her something, like, we know she black. But anyway, so I like that idea, and then put it in an urban setting. So apparently, they're trying to say that FX is about to get a little gayer, because what is that other show? What was the other show? Damn it! Oh, so we got Pose on FX. We also have Hi. You a fool. But anyway, that was the other roommate, Angel. She said, "Hey, girl." But anyway, okay. Let's get back to the situation. Oh, y'all want shopping? Okay, let me focus on the show and stop running my mouth. Anyway, so FX is, I guess, trying to compete with Netflix, but they're trying to say, they're like trying to be big and compete with Netflix. I don't know how, but they've announced that they're going to be doing a show based on Bob Fosse for the network. So Ryan Murphy inked a $300 million deal to go over the Netflix and do something with them and that sort of thing. So the show is going to be it's a limited series called Fosse Verdon, which is about legendary Broadway choreographer Bob Fosse and acclaimed dancer Gwen Verdon. So the show's going to be 8 episodes. That should be interesting. Will be based on Sam Watson's 2013 Fosse biography and is being executive produced by Broadway superstar Lin-Manuel Miranda. For somebody who's straight, he sure is into a lot of Broadway things. I think he also, he nabbed Best Director Oscar for Cabaret. Yesterday, the funny thing is, when I was first hearing about this topic, I started watching a lot of Bob Fosse videos on YouTube, and his choreography is very much on, down low. It's all about the legs and the knees and all the other stuff, and that sort of choreography that he does. It's very much lower body choreography. It's all about the legs and the knees and the bending and the squatting and the, this, that, and the third. So, So I was watching, what was that I was watching? I think I was watching, Damn Yankees and a bunch of other stuff that was going on, so it was cute. But anyway, so they're talking about Fosse will be played by Sam Rockwell, who just won an Oscar for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which I actually thought was a good movie. And Michelle Williams, not from Destiny's Child. Heath Ledger's baby mama. The late Heath Ledger's baby mama. So it'll be interesting to see how they try to fit in all that choreography and all the stuff that they'll be doing with that show. So I'm sure you all heard. So that's the only show that they have coming up in regards of that. So it should be interesting to see how that all works out. I thought it was coming out with a full-on list of gay programs. And to me, I'm disappointed with a lot of the Netflix choices when it comes to gay programming. Not really feeling it. A lot of their movies I'm kind of not all that disappointed with. I mean, I'm kind of disappointed with too. But anyway, so there was this article that I had saw that was called Child. They got me up in here sweating like Whitney Houston, and I ain't do no drugs before I came on this show. But I'm just saying. But anyway, so I'm sure you all heard that Chelsea Handler was just chosen to star on Will and Grace. And so now people were asking this question. Me, I didn't have a problem with her starring on the show. But she's about to star on Will and Grace as a power lesbian. I don't know what the fuck that means, but apparently she's a power lesbian. That's what she's been labeled as. So I'm sure you all heard about, so the op-ed that was written on Queer Tea, which I thought was relatively interesting, was when they asked, so why is it that people were upset over Scarlett Johansson playing a trans male in Rub and Tug, and nobody's upset over the fact that Chelsea Handler is playing a lesbian on Will and Grace? Number one, from when I was seeing this and understanding this, I thought it was interesting to ask this because to me, I feel like sexuality and gender are two different things. Trans people, it's about gender. It's not about sexuality. It's not. A lot of people get so wrapped up in sexual orientation and thinking gender and sexuality goes hand in hand, and it doesn't. So, and I could have sworn that on Chelsea lately, didn't Chelsea Handler imply that she has dabbled with women or she's had sexual encounters or relationships with women in the past? I could have sworn I've heard her say this on her show back in the day. So I don't think she is a full cisgender woman. So with them saying this, what was it that he had asked? He was like, I believe those, Mike Fleming from Variety condemned Johansson's decision, saying, I believe those LGBTQ advocates who claim victory after shaming Johansson into withdrawing from Rub and Tug don't realize they have made it nearly impossible to get made films like Brokeback Mountain and Dallas Buyers Club, the kind that opens hearts and minds, at least not with any kind of decent budget or NPA spend. Not when film companies know they might be shamed on social media by groups who... But wait a minute. See, now, I had to stop reading that because to me it just sounds like a bunch of bullshit. How is it that they're saying, like, the only reason why our films about us could get made is if straight people are playing our roles? So, what about, and it's about, well, we're not going to just stick a nobody in something and it'll get made. How many films have we seen Brad Pitt in where he was a fucking nobody before he became Brad Pitt? Or Tom Cruise, or Scarlett Johansson, or all these other people. So I don't understand how, like, when it comes to gays, it's different. Or, you know, whenever we want to tell our stories, nobody cares. Nobody wants to listen. Did y'all know did y'all even know any of the people that's on Pose? Do y'all know Dominique Jackson? I know who Dominique Jackson is. I've known her for years before she stepped foot on that show. Y'all don't know. A lot of y'all don't know her. So, do you know India Moore? Do you know Janet Mock? Did you know any of the other characters or the people that are on these shows? A lot of the people that are on this show are relative newcomers to acting or in film or haven't been really seen on TV. But apparently people know about the show because of word of mouth, of people going out saying, have you seen the show? Have you watched the show? Do you know about this show? So it's not always all about A-list. It's not always about having a name attached to stuff. And I think a lot of times when you look at it, is that when you see someone like a Jared Leto playing trans, he can go back to taking all that shit off and being a man. So people tend to think of it as if you have someone who is a cis male playing a woman, then they're just playing and this is how they really are. It's like someone taking off a mask and makeup and a wig and all this other stuff and they're going back to being themselves, thinking they're like transvestites, drag queens, whatever you want to call it. So for you to just try to think like only cis actors or whatever can play trans roles or gay roles, whatever the case is, I think it's bullshit. And we should be allowed to play our role just like we should be allowed to play straight roles too. But a lot of times you'll hear from executives where they'll say, I can't see I can't see a gay person playing a lead in a romantic comedy or an action film because it's not believable. Yeah, okay. You know how many gay actors are running around in Hollywood right now? They be sucking dick on the low, but actually be playing straight roles on TV screens. One of them I just talked about before, Luke Evans, who's currently in Italy with his boyfriend. But y'all got him in a lot of movies where he's playing leads and starring in a lot of different films. So what are you talking about? So a lot of times y'all say some shit that don't make no goddamn sense. And that's why I just have to laugh at it. So, I don't know. It's just a whole lot to unpack, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. I want to move on. So, speaking of Janet Mock, she went and did an interview with Vulture where she says that it's a long time to bring more trans voices to the table. And she was like, it's not just about one actor, Mock says, referring to Scarlett Johansson being cast, but so maybe this will open your brains up or whatever. It's not about, where was I? It's not just about one actor. I think it speaks to the entitlement of cis, straight, or white people, whether they're cultural creators or actors, who are given the opportunity to tell all kinds of stories that may not even be linked to their own experiences, and how that then individualizes the pool of talent that has never been given a chance to even be in that room to audition for those roles. So that's where a lot of... So that's probably why Patrick Swayze, John Leguizamo, and Wesley Snipes played it. Well, they were drag queens. And on top of that, I don't know if you heard, but there was the legendary fight that Patrick Swayze and John Leguizamo had behind the scenes on To Wong Fu, where they were kind of going at it. So there was a lot of shit that happened behind the scenes on that show. But I think people seem to miss the point that cisgender actors cannot understand what it is like to be transgender or to write those roles, play those roles, and the other. I think what needs to happen is that maybe if you got writers who are trans in the room, in that writer's room, and kind of just looked over, it's like kind of like what Ryan Murphy did. Like Ryan Murphy knew that trans was not his wheelhouse. He didn't understand it. He didn't know how to put it all together, that sort of thing. So what he did was he hired trans people to work in the writer's room, to work behind the scenes, so that way you can make whatever your script or whatever your show you're doing authentic enough. So that's what you have to do. It's like, if you want authenticity, if you want that type of vibe, you have to hire the people and put them in the room so that way it's authentic. Like, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. He was telling me about, what was the movie that Felicity Huffman played trans? That movie was beyond deplorable. With a lot of the stereotypes was in that film. And then the son was gay and he was a hustler. Like, okay, so gay men are prostitutes now. So it's like we've come a long way in a lot of diminishing a lot of those stereotypes. And I feel like until we get those people in the room to be able to tell their stories, then we're not going to move forward. So if you don't want to make rub and tug, who gives a fuck? Don't make rub and tug. But at least, you know what? Let us get in the room and let's have those conversations and audition and tell our stories the way they need to be told. That's all. So to me, I just look at it as like cultural appropriation in a way. Also, she's not the only one that is piping up. So that's what it is. The argument is they just want to be a part of the conversation and want to be in the room and to have those opportunities. So of course, and then what is it? Billy Porter is actually speaking up too. So we got a lot of people sounding off. Colored folk and queer colored people got time today, apparently. So Billy Porter, a.k.a. Pray Tell, the category is... Y'all live when he says that. First of all, them reads that he be saying, them one-liners always have me laughing, especially last week's episode. I'm not going to go on a whole post thing. I did a whole recap on my YouTube page. So if you want to see like the whole recap, what I did of the finale and all the previous ones, definitely go to my YouTube page and check out the videos and stuff that I've done on there. But anyway, so he basically was talking about... addressing the issues that affects the gay community in the 80s, like racism, transphobia, the AIDS crisis, and all of that sort of stuff. But Billy Porter is not afraid to discuss the issues still at hand. So in a recent interview with Vulture, everybody's talking to Vulture this week, the Tony and Grammy Award performer and starring on Pose, actor of Pose, reminded him about how the trans community was erased during the LGBTQ civil rights movement in the 70s and 80s. He says, for me, as a 48-year-old gay man, when I came out, we had to fight for our lives because the fight was so intense, and this is what this show has taught me. The T in LGBTQ was almost invisible. The fight was about something else. I equated to the idea of the civil rights movement and Martin Luther King Jr. and the relationship with Bayard Rustin. He was a gay man who taught him and set him up to be the civil rights leader that he was and was erased from the conversation because that wasn't the fight. So yes, a lot of people didn't know this, but Martin Luther King did have someone who was gay in his cabinet that was by his side that was helping him out with a lot of issues and situations that was going on in the 60s. Also, if you looked at a lot of the marches that was going on in those days, there were a lot of people of color who were homosexual and transgender who marched with Martin Luther King. But these are things that you won't know about in history unless you really look deep and you do a lot of research on it. It's the same thing with this, and I understand why a lot of times transgender community has these arguments and a lot of stuff that's been going on because they feel marginalized. They feel like they're not included in the conversation, which is why I understand why a lot of people in our community, a lot of the trans in the community have these issues where they're coming out and saying the things they're saying about the movie Rub and Tug, about the fact that they had an issue with RuPaul not giving his blessing or speaking out or tweeting out about Pose and all this other stuff. Yeah, there was a thing that happened this week too. That video was up on my YouTube page. I broke it down. YouTube channel. I said page, but it's a channel. But anyway, so yeah, there was a lot of that was going on and stuff where people were having issues and all this other stuff with that. And to me, it's like, yeah, they're feeling marginalized. They don't feel like they're a part of the conversation. And this is where a lot of the issues and the arguments is coming from. They just don't feel like they fit in anywhere. So they're lashing out and they're just saying all kinds of crazy shit just so that way they can be heard. Whether it's right or not, they just don't feel like they're being heard. So it's a whole lot to unpack, and it's just like, yeah. So he also said that I sat on board of the Empire State Pride Agenda for 6 years, and that's an organization that really was... Wait, you went to your house already? Mm-hmm. Oh, child, I broke character. I'm supposed to be right on the bridge. Anyway, I was like, you went to house? Sorry, y'all. But anyway, so he said he sat on the board of the Empire State Pride Agenda for 6 years, and that's an organization that really was influential in lobbying and fighting for gay rights during the AIDS crisis all the way up through marriage equality. When these white cisgender rich boys got marriage equality and the organization's focus turned to transgender rights, these motherfuckers closed their checkbooks and the organization of 25 years had to close. Porter went on to say that it's everyone's duty to uplift one another. And you know what? Saying all of this, I got something to say on this when I'm done, as I always do. If we don't take care of the least among us, it doesn't matter how rich we are. It doesn't matter how fabulous we are. It doesn't matter. If you're neglecting your citizens, you are inhumane, the end. This reminds me so much of what the argument was this week when Cynthia Nixon was out doing her interviews. And there was a thing where they're saying that the Democrats, the uppity Democrats, have kind of turned her off and have decided, oh, we're gonna back Andrew Cuomo. For this exact reason, what Billy Porter is saying, which is, oh, because you got marriage equality, which was passed after Iowa, why is New York following a fucking state like Iowa in marriage equality? Why is that the only time you thought enough to sign us up for marriage equality? And then thinking, oh, well, I threw you a bone, so you know what? Vote for me. Give me your money. That's kind of what I'm getting from Andrew Cuomo in this whole situation. That because we got marriage equality, we got all these other things, that we should just vote for him. And I've realized a lot of the rich faggots like to go into that, where it's, we got our money, we got our this, we got our that, so fuck the rest of y'all, because we got what we needed. We're a part of the heteronormative society. So hearing this is like, I'm part of a board, and we're fighting so we get what we need. And then when it comes down to people of color who are constantly marginalized in this country, especially if you're transgender, then that's all we care about. So once we get what we need, fuck all y'all, fuck you people of colors, fuck the poor people down at the bottom who don't have the money and the wherewithal and the checkbook to write in order for us to get what we want to get, because we're getting something out of the deal. So that's kind of like where I was sitting on it. And while I like what she's been saying, what Cynthia Nixon's been saying, I honestly don't think she's going to win. And it's probably because, you know what? The more things change, the more they say the same. So, I don't see anything evolving from all of this. It'll be interesting to see how that all works out, but I don't know. I could be wrong. But we'll only know until we go out and vote. So let's talk about this old tired queen. Speaking of, people and agendas and things. So gay adult porn star Bruno Bernal has come out and got red for points because he came out and said he basically called his damn barber a nigger. So, and then basically denigrated him on social media. So then he went on, of course, to attack Queer T for calling him out on his racism and a whole lot of stuff. So here's what he wrote on his Instagram, because he wanted to criticize the way his barber was speaking. He said, worst thing in life, barbers that don't fuck shut... I'm going to read it as he wrote it. Worst thing in life, exclamation point. First of all, it's the wrong place to use an exclamation point. Barbers that don't fuck shop up talking with this nigga accent. Really, Queen? First of all, if you're going to criticize someone on the way they speak, can you at least learn how to write in an Instagram post? Like, don't come for somebody's grammar when when you're grammatically retarded your damn self. So, when people, of course, called him out on his blatant racism, Bernal got defensive, insisting he can't possibly be racist because he loves black people. And he frequently dates black men. That's what he said. So, of course, you can't be racist because you fuck black people. That's a new one. That tale is about as old as time, child. But anyway, so he said, my first boyfriend was black, comma, after I had another black ex-boyfriend. Then I had sex with few black guys, and my current boyfriend is black. If I was racist, I don't think it would be happening so frequently. I like black culture, and I don't discriminate anyone by their race, but if you are fucking ghetto and don't even use properly a normal vocabulary because you think it's cool talk like a black ghetto person that just came out of prison, what you want me to say. Whatever, don't like, exclamation point, follow, plus, block. Really? It's like, bitch, I'm about to find that bitch and beat her over the head with a goddamn thesaurus. That's what I'm about to do. Because reading is fundamental, number one. And number two, you need to learn how to use grammar in the right places, or at least do a goddamn spell check before you send anything. Because you're going to be roasted not only for being a dumb fucking Guido, but also for being grammatically retarded. So, yes, you can be racist and date black people. Should I point out that once upon a time, because I had this issue with someone on a friend of mine, Steve Penya's page, Um, exactly. That's what I was about to get to. Fucking black men doesn't excuse you from racism. Also, we should point out that once upon a time, we had slave owners who fucked their slaves. So, does that mean because you own slaves and you fuck them every now and again and get them pregnant, that and men and women, they was up in that house fucking? Don't be mistaken. The guys was getting fucked in the butt too. It wasn't just the women that were being violated and raped and all that other shit. Men were getting raped up in the houses too. You just never see it in the movies. But anyway, to think about all of that stuff, it's just like does that mean that because you are a slave owner that you weren't racist towards the people that you were sleeping with in your house? It's about power and control, and that's what that is. It's like you love all things black until it's time to defend things black, until Black Lives Matter. Then all of a sudden, it's brand new. I can't tell you the many times and the many stories I've heard from people, and I've witnessed my damn self, where there have been guys who are black, who are in relationships with a white guy or whatever. White guys will sit and say all kinds of racist shit about them. And then this motherfucker got the nerve to stay radio silent. And then it's like, or they'll follow it up with, oh, we're not talking about you. We're talking about them. You're not like those people. You're not like those blacks over there. So it's like, you're disrespecting an entire race. You're going based off of a stereotype saying ghetto or people that talk a certain way. How the fuck do you talk? I've never heard you talk. I mean, I guess we're all known Bruno from all the moaning he does, but I don't know how he talks and all this other stuff. I'm not aware. I'm not familiar with a lot of his movies, and apparently not a lot of people are. And at this point, he has been reprimanded for what he has said. I should top that off by saying that he called Queerty a shit blog. He called them trash and stupid. But it's like, no, you're a trash. You're trash. You're stupid. And your career is probably going to be in the toilet now as well. So, Men.com have basically come out and spoken out about what he had said. They were going to release a scene featuring Bernal this week, but instead they released the following statement. They said, due to recent events, the Bruno Bernal Men.com scene will not be promoted by us. We prefer that it is also not to be promoted by our affiliates. Moving forward, we will no longer be working with the actor involved in the recent events. So, here's the thing. If you're not black, don't call people niggas. You don't have the right, the wherewithal. You don't get to use that. I'm talking about Morgan McMichaels, too. Yes, that bitch from Drag Race. You need not use that word, too. And I know the word on the street is you use it a lot. And I've had very reliable sources that have said that your stringy ass has called people nigga numerous times. And so, yes, I'm putting a bitch on blast, and I don't give a fuck who tells the hoe. But anyway, so, my thing is, you don't get to tell someone who is black to get over the fact that you're calling people niggas. You don't get to tell us when to be over a situation, when to be over racism, when to be over the word nigga. You don't get to tell us how to feel about anything. All you need to do is listen, observe, take it in, learn, and move the fuck on. You don't get to tell us how to feel about racism in this country, especially when that shit is alive and well and has been put on the highest of pedestals because of that asshole we have as a president. So, and yeah, I do agree with that. Like, when I see people who use the word ghetto, it is a pseudonym for you're referring to black people. You're referring to them as being lesser than or ratchet or this, that, and the other. That's where I get it from. So, good on him. I'm sure he got his little money. I'm sure he got paid for doing that little scene, but good luck trying to get people to work with you. I'll keep you posted on that whole situation. So really quickly, because we got 10 minutes left in the show, and I want to get to as many of these topics as possible. So there's a story that's come out that basically that Grindr has decided to deal with their racism issue. And how they're deciding to deal with the racism issue, they decided to come out with an app called Kinder. Really? So, gay and trans dating app Grindr has hinted at a new version of the app which will tackle the racism and bullying on the platform. The dating site tweeted a cryptic video with a voiceover discussing racism, which says, when someone says something that I don't date black people, that's all black people, that's what I refer to as sexual racism. So, how they're deciding to deal with this is by saying that, It's going to be called kinder.grindr.com, which currently only has the voiceover and the tagline, "It's time to play nice." The site's vague announcement, which says is launching in September of this year, comes just days after model and activist Monroe Bergdorf called on the company to address hate speech. So it took someone famous to bring this up for y'all to all of a sudden wake up and pay a fucking attention? Really? So that's what it takes? It always takes someone in a place of power to deal with this? And I feel like if we're going to deal with racism on dating apps, it needs to be dealt with on Grindr. Why are we dealing with it by creating a new website? I don't understand the whole point of creating something new to deal with an issue on another app. So how does that help Grindr in a way? Does that mean that anybody who is for black men who aren't going to be discriminating against other people have to jump ship and go over to Kinder, and then Grindr would just be a cesspool of racists? Like, what happens there? Like, how do we deal with the issue? I don't know. I haven't really experienced racism either in that context. I feel like what I have experienced is a lot of times when people look at me and they'll be like, "So what are you?" And they're trying to figure out what my nationality is because I'm mixed with a whole bunch of things. And then there's that. So if you had a choice, what would you choose? Bitch, do I tell you to choose what your favorite fucking meal is? You don't tell me to choose like what nationality that I want to go by. I am who I am, and I acknowledge every part of me. So I'm not going to change up who I am for anybody. So, yeah, so I just feel like, you know what, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical but curious to see about this app and what's it doing and all that other stuff. Hey, honey, I'm done. But anyway, I am skeptical. I'm curious. But I will check it out and see what Kinder is about. But I really feel like, you know what? Whatever happened to just going to bars and meeting people? I actually like doing that. I have Grindr. I have, is it Scruff? I don't use it. I have it, the app, but I don't use it. I need to look on my phone. But the phone I have two phones, actually. Like, I got two phones. Let me stop. But it's like this phone doesn't have like all the other apps, and the one I'm using is to do the show and broadcast has all my apps and things on it. But I'm sitting there thinking, like, I'm trying to think. I'm like, as far as like, I think it's Scruff or any of the other ones. I don't really use a lot of the apps. I don't even use Grindr all that much. I don't even use Adam for Adam all that much. They just sit there. I go on every now and again to check messages and stuff, but I don't really use the app. But I was thinking that, yeah, whatever happened to just going out and meeting people? I think that's a really cool idea. That I think people should just go out to bars and be kind of just be socially engaging with people. I really feel like that we should just go out and just meet people and have conversations. I can't tell you the amount of people I've gone out when I've had a couple of drinks up in me that I've loosened up and I've met people and I've had conversations. It's like, you know what? This is like I want to engage. I want to interact with people. I've met them, we've talked, I've made friends, I've made fuck buddies. Like you'd be surprised what you meet when you go out. And I feel like a lot of people really don't go out and hang out and have fun anymore. They really don't. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We'll just see what happens with Grindr and that whole sort of thing. I don't know what to say about that. But oh yeah, I forgot that you're not old enough to go to bars. But yeah, I guess some people have to use the thing. Okay, so there's this article that came up that I really needed to talk about. That was on New Now Next. But then I'm glad I posted it on one of my friends' sites, which is Late Night Cruising. They have like a site on like a group page on Facebook. They also have a website called latenightcruising.com. I'm going to bring all of this together in a minute. But what they were talking about was a study got about how New York City sex parties could be contributing to riskier gay sex. And they were talking about like the majority of men who attend sex parties reported being HIV negative, but not on PrEP, which is actually true because I'm one of those people that I'm negative, but I have gone to sex parties and I know there are guys who are there who are positive, but undetectable. And you know, when you are undetectable and positive, you cannot pass the virus on to people because you have an undetectable viral load and you were taking your medication. Also, there are situations where there are people who don't know their status that are going to these parties, and yes, they should be getting checked. And I know a lot of people sit and they want to talk about, like, it's a long fucking article, and I'm not really going to get into it, but they were just basically saying that how Researchers took an ethnographic approach during this time. The general consensus among researchers was that sexual interactions in these spaces were furtive and impersonal. Public restrooms, locker rooms, truck stops, parks, beaches, and even commercial spaces like bathhouses allowed men to cruise relatively inconspicuously, nothing more. I posted it on my page. I'm not going to go into a whole breakdown on how they interact or how they check with people, but what I do know is while there are people who aren't using PrEP and are going to sex parties and stuff, I think if you're going to go to a sex party, you need to be responsible in regards of knowing what you're doing. Do your research. Know what you're about to get into when you go to public bathhouses or cruising spots like a bookstore or like what is it? Like if you go down to Chelsea and 8th Avenue, the Blue Store. If you go in that back room where they got all them little booths and stuff, there are people that watch porn and they carry and they do all kinds of other stuff in there. And people meet up for anonymous sexual encounters and this, that, and the other. But there are places in New York that I want to point out that do advise with HIV testing. So I want to get to this real quick because I know we're about to run out of time soon. I probably got like 2 minutes. So if you go on handsome.nyc or if you go to incubus.nyc.com, that's handsome.nyc or incubus.nyc.com, because when I posted this, I have friends who do this. What they do is they do free lifetime and paid care for anyone whose test comes back positive. And they also get referrals for people with substance issues, and they also provide PrEP for little to no cost. So there are places in New York that will provide you with that information. You can also go on latenightcruising.com. That's one word, and that's without the G. So it's cruisin, Cruisin, I believe. How I'm spelling? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Because I be having my little issues sometimes. Like I came in second place with the spelling bee in school, but sometimes But yeah. And also on Wednesdays during happy hour at the Cock, which I believe is like 4 to 9, they do have someone who comes in from Mount Sinai who does free testing for HIV and STI along with referral services. The next one they're going to be doing is on August 8th. So if you're on 2nd Avenue and 5th Street, I believe, it's somewhere in the East Village. Just look it up. Google that shit. Go to the Cock on Wednesdays. They do the HIV testing. They bring in somebody from Mount Sinai. So they have a lot of these places that will help you out, will give you the education you need, and you need to do your research before you go into a lot of these sex parties and stuff. And I know a lot of people who don't do that they should. So, with all that being said, I want to thank you all for watching. Tune in, same time, same place next week. Got 2 more episodes before we're done with this season. Love you all for watching on Facebook Live. Love you all for listening. Ciao, darlings. Had to mute the show because they're doing a whole little commercial thing. But yeah, so if it comes down to it and y'all want to get y'all education, you want to get your life and all that other stuff in regards to that, I want to give it one more time. Go on latenightcruising.com for a list of different sexual places that you want to go to, find like little cruising spots and stuff in New York, and not only in New York, but in other parts of the United States and abroad. Also go to handsome.nyc and incubus.nyc.com, which will give you all the information you need in regards of PrEP, sexual stuff, anything that you want to do to like help you out in any old way in regards of sex and that sort of thing. So definitely go ahead and do that. Once again, love you all for watching. And also check them out on YouTube. They have their own YouTube show too. I think it's called Late Night Cruising. Definitely look that up, and love you all for watching. Thank you all once again. See ya.